Hello, welcome to the Potomac View. I'm your host, Nicole from Washington, D.C. The Potomac View is a brand new program aiming to discuss the vital issues facing democracy in the West. We focus on issues involving the Communist China, especially the topics that have been underreported or mischaracterized by the mainstream media. According to the latest results of the Gallup poll in September 2021, the American people's trust in media outlets continues to fall and hit the second lowest point in history over the past 50 years. Close to 2/3, that's 64% of the people in America, don't trust the media to fully, accurately, and fairly report news. A free and independent press is a pillar to democracy. Media is vital to sustaining democracy by informing the public without bias, exposing the wrongdoings of those in powerful positions, and voicing the grievance for the victims of the power abuse. Losing free press is losing democracy. In recent years, we've seen the Chinese Communist Party aggressively taking direct control or indirect influence on the Western media outlets. How did they do that? What are they trying to achieve? What's the impact on American democracy and way of life? In today's episode, we're going to discuss all of the above. We've noticed the four main tactics the CCP used to control and influence Western media outlets. 1. Making direct investment and becoming a key shareholder of the corporate media companies. For example, TPG Capital, a CCP-controlled U.S. private equity firm, invested $450 million in Vice Media, representing 44% share of the company. Vice recently produced a hit piece to attack Miles Guo, the most formidable enemy of the CCP, and demonize the Chinese Americans who want to take down the CCP. 2. Using access to the China market as a bait to make Western media outlets give up principles for profits. For example, HBO Showtime aided and abetted the broadcast of a Vice program to slander Miles Guo and incite hate against millions of freedom-loving Chinese whistleblowers. 3. Purchasing ad space in the Western media outlets to carry CCP's propaganda contents. For example, the CCP paid tens of millions of dollars to Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, New York Times, and other major U.S. newspapers to print CCP's propaganda, China Daily. 4. Hiring public relation firms to recruit top editorial staff in Western media outlets to participate in the CCP-sponsored trips to China. The PR firms offer private dinners to secure favorable coverage of Beijing's preferred policies and create positive narratives for the Communist China. Sounds like a shocker? Well, this is a practice that has been going on for more than 10 years. Very few media reported it. I'd like to give a shout out to Natalie Winters of the National Pulse and Axios for being among the first to report this disturbing fact. According to 2011 filings under the Foreign Agent Registration Act with the U.S. Justice Department, a CCP influence operation paid a U.S. PR firm Brown Lloyd James $20,000 per month to make the U.S. media environment favorable to Beijing. This influence operation is called China-United States Exchange Foundation and is now registered with the Justice Department as a foreign agent working for CCP. The China-United States Exchange Foundation is headed by Dong Jianhua, Vice Chair of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, a political advisory body under the indirect control of the United Front Work Department. The China-United States Exchange Foundation also organized trips and private dinners for the Western journalists to visit China and gain a positive outlook toward the CCP. Here is a partial list of the participating media outlets in the CCP-sponsored trips to China. New York Times, Washington Post, Bloomberg, MSNBC, CNBC, Fox News, NPR, Newsweek, Yahoo Finance, Los Angeles Times, U.S. News and World Report, San Francisco Chronicle, the Financial Times, Boston Herald, Boston Globe, Huffington Post, The Atlantic, Baltimore Sun, Chicago Tribune, The Guardian, The New Yorker, Foreign Policy, The Philadelphia Inquirer, Harvard Business Review, The Hill, Chicago Magazine, Vox, and Slate. And this is a partial list of the media outlets that participated in the private dinners paid by the CCP's influence operation: The Wall Street Journal, The Washington Post, Associated Press, CNN, Times Magazine, The New York Times, CBS, Forbes, PBS, The Atlantic, The Economist, CNBC, The Financial Times, National Journal, NPR, Politico, Chicago Tribune, Bloomberg, BBC, Los Angeles Times, Agence France Presse, Congressional Quarterly, Business Week, The Hill, Reuters, ABC, Nation, Yahoo, Newsweek. According to the National Polls investigative reporting, in 2009 alone, the CCP received 28 media placements, 26 opinion articles, and quotes within 103 separate articles as a result of the sponsored trips and private dinners for the Western media outlets. The most recent hit piece by Vice and HBO Showtime against Miles Guo and the anti-CCP Chinese diaspora is just a tip of the iceberg of CCP's manipulation of the Western media outlets. What happened to Miles Guo exemplified how effective CCP is at pulling the strings with the Western media outlets. On April 19, 2017, Voice of America, or VOA, abruptly suspended a live broadcast of an interview with Miles Guo when he was exposing the top CCP leaders' corruption, power abuse, and the Gestapo-like way of eliminating political opponents or accomplices. VOA is funded by the U.S. Congress and overseen by a U.S. government agency. The abrupt shutdown of Miles Guo's live interview on VOA sent a strong and disturbing message to the entire world. That is, the American media failed to represent American values and ceased to function as a free press when it comes to exposing the most censored topics by the Chinese Communist Party. On July 22, 2019, the Wall Street Journal published an article based on the U.S. firm's accusation of Miles Guo as a spy. This firm is a shell company called Strategic Vision based in Washington, D.C. Strategic Vision was then involved in a legal battle with Miles Guo over a commercial dispute. The Wall Street Journal chose to use Strategic Vision as a credible source to defame Miles Guo. It turned out, 2 years later, Strategic Vision lost its legal battle to Miles Guo in New York District Court in June 2021. Miles Guo, in his live broadcast, exposed a shocking fact that Strategic Vision's attorney fee was actually paid by the CCP's registered agent in the US, Bruno Wu. The Wall Street Journal never did a follow-up story to acknowledge the fact that it used an unfounded accusation to attack Miles Guo. The CCP's encroachment on democracy doesn't stop at the media world, the fourth estate of American democracy. It also attempts to attack the other three pillars: the executive, the judicial, and the legislative branch. In Miles Guo's case, the Communist Party enlisted the help of two top fundraisers of the Republican National Committee, Elliot Brody and Stephen Wynn, to lobby the White House and the Justice Department to return Miles Guo to China. Brody pleaded guilty in October 2020 to conspiring to violate foreign lobbying laws. Stephen Wynn was demanded by the Justice Department to register as a spy for the CCP. Miles Guo took to his live broadcast on GTV condemning the CCP's infiltration in the US administration and judicial system. He alerted the American public of CCP's attempts to corrupt America's most powerful elites as part of its 3F strategy to bring down America: foment weakness, foment chaos, and foment destruction of America. In October 2017, the Hudson Institute, a premier conservative American think tank canceled a scheduled speech by Miles Guo without offering any explanation. Miles Guo explained 4 reasons behind the cancellation in his live broadcast on November 9, 2017. 1. Zhang Xin, a Chinese billionaire businesswoman, a board member of the Harvard Global Advisory Council, who also served as a trustee to Asia Society, called the Hudson Institute and said, "I'm your donor. You shouldn't invite Miles Guo to give a speech." 2. The real boss of the Hudson Institute has a son studying in China with a scholarship provided by the Chinese government. If you let Miles Guo give a speech, your son's visa will be canceled. 3. Hainan Airline, or HNA, a CCP-controlled multinational conglomerate with a revenue of $53 billion in 2017, is the biggest donor to the Hudson Institute. The CCP told the Hudson Institute, "If you let Miles Guo give a speech, I will withdraw HNA's sponsorship." 4. Alibaba, another CCP-controlled multinational conglomerate with a revenue of $109 billion in 2021, told the Hudson Institute, "If you let Miles Guo give a speech, we will not give you a significant amount of donation." According to Miles Guo, he was planning to give the FBI the only document in the world which could prove the existence of the CCP's 13579 war plan. 13579 is a code name for the CCP's biochemical warfare against the US. The document not only outlined the war plan, but also bore the signature of Xi Jinping for his final approval to implement the plan. The cancellation of the event by the Hudson Institute made Miles Guo realize America is not free from the CCP's control and influence. In order to protect himself and his family in China, as well as those who risked their lives to obtain this document, he had no choice but to burn the document. 4 years later, a deadly virus that originated in CCP's bioweapon lab took the world by storm and killed more than 820,000 American people as we speak today. The death toll is increasing, and it outnumbers the total casualty of the World War I, World War II, and 9/11 terrorist attack combined. Miles Guo declared COVID-19 as the CCP virus, manufactured in the bioweapon lab in Wuhan to take down America and the rest of the world. Had the Hudson Institute not succumbed to Communist Party's coercion and canceled Miles Guo's speech, the CCP's 13579 war plan would have been made known to the public. Had America heeded Miles Guo's warning and taken proper precaution, a calamity would have been avoided. But people laughed at him and called him lunatic when he made the following statements in 2017 at the National Press Club. "I'm here to tell all of our friends in the US, Japan, Europe, and all the peace-loving people in the world, trust me, dark nights are descending upon us soon. You must be vigilant. Dark nights from the Chinese kleptocrats will be descending upon us soon. It will devastate the entire world and Western civilization and threaten each and every one of us. We must be on our guard." What Miles Guo had been saying about the CCP's encroachment of American liberty has now become a reality. Yet he's still being constantly vilified and slandered by the mainstream media in the West as a liar and conspiracy theorist spreading disinformation. You may not know Miles Guo, but what happened to him serves as a crystal clear prism reflecting a sad and disturbing situation that each and every American should be concerned about. The American democracy and freedom of press is under attack. The battle between good and evil in today's world isn't the same as the Cold War, and it's not about the nuclear arms race anymore. The CCP didn't have to fire a bullet to cripple the Western democracy and bring an end to the free world. All it has to do is to wine and dine the powerful elites in the West, media, think tanks, lobbyists, law firms, and the special interest groups. Edmund Burke said, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing." America is a promised land, blessed with many good people. It's time for good people to hear the truth that you're not going to hear from the mainstream media. It's time to defend democracy against CCP's aggression before it is too late. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time.